Hello everyone and welcome back to this Reddit F1 League that we're taking part in. It's round 4 and we are headed to Silverstone in Great Britain in the UK to try and see what we can do in this 4th round of the championship. After our 3rd race, we had some early mistakes, but we were able to fight back into the points at the tail end of the race and managed to also snag a bonus point on fastest lap. We're looking forward to trying to cut down some of the mistakes, put ourselves in a good starting position through the qualifying session, and see if we can't continue to get ourselves on the points again. The league is definitely expanding. We've got 17 runners this time around. My teammate had to miss this race, so that would have made 18, and there was also another 2 people that are signed up. So we've basically got a full grid signed up at this point. So some new faces on the grid today, and it's going to be even tougher to get into the points with the grid even more filled out. So we grabbed a balanced set of tire layout that's going to allow us a set of medium tires to qualify on, because we're kind of looking to try and do a reverse strategy. I found that the front tires really overheated on the softs in heavy fuel loads at the starts of races. So if we're able to qualify on the mediums into the top 10, that would be great. But so we're going to slap our setup on right now. We're going to go ahead and go out on our first kind of banker lap on the softs. We're going to save the mediums to run at the very end of the session when the track is kind of rubbered in a little bit more, to hopefully try and put in the best time of the day. But getting this banker lap in is definitely important to see where we can put ourselves on the grid, as we are, looks to be one of the first cars to get out onto the pit lane there. So we'll turn the ERS down. Looks like we got Boom Tech in the Alfa Romeo behind us, one of the championship front runners here. Definitely very, very quick. Always in contention for the race wins there. So we're going to save the energy till we get to the tail end of this lap and then crank it up and go for our qualifying lap here. Just try and get the tires up to temperature and not spin anything out, and see if we can stay in front of Boom Tech on the way out here. And here we are, jumping to the start of our first flying lap, crossing the line into T1. It's flat out. You want to pitch it in, swing it around, then left into turn 2. Set yourself up for the braking zone. Just past that 100-meter board into Village there. Go down to 3rd gear, kick it out, swing it right, wide right, down to 2nd to pitch it into the 2nd left-hander, and then short shift your way into 3rd to get on the throttle nice and early to carry the speed through the loop. Down that back straight here, we're heading into Brooklands. Catch about the 75-meter mark to get on the brakes there. Down into 4th gear, a little squirt of the throttle, down to 3rd. Double apex Luffield here. Try and swing it out to dive in for the exit on the 2nd part of Luffield. And now we're down the old start-finish straight where we used to start. And now we're headed over to Cops. A little bit of a lift coming into there. Not quite diving in at the right turn-in point. If you nail it, you can go flat out in qualifying trim, but this being a banker lap, I was kind of taking it a little safe. But here we are into Maggots, Beckett's, and then on our way out of that section, a very quick left-right change of direction, kind of set up through those corners. Now we're down the back straight here into Stowe, the last big high-speed corner as we pitch it in and shoot our way down the hill into the last big braking zone. You find that about 100-meter board, get it pitched in, short shift again to really get the traction down nice and early as we come out of club and cross the start-finish line, a 28.5. Obviously, we're going to be the fastest lap for the moment because we're the first car across the line, but Boom Tech immediately goes about a half-second faster on those medium tires. So here we are, jumping ahead a little later in the session. About 5 minutes left. We're out on another set of soft tires. We're going to try and see if we can put in a little bit of a better lap here. We're sitting P10 right on the bubble of having our starting tire kind of force. Now, unlike our career mode where there's 3 rounds of qualifying where cars get knocked out over the course of it, this is a 118-minute session. You still have to follow the rule of if you're in the top 10, you have to start on the tire that you qualified on. So we are trying to put in a good banker time here. We've already got a decent one. It's holding us in 10th place. We're a little quicker than our first time around, picking up a little time on the Delta through Luffield here, picking up about a quarter of a second now. So we're in a decent spot so far to improve on our lap time. We'll see if we can take Cops a little bit quicker. We're fully flat and committed, but just run a little bit wide and that's going to be an extension of the track limits. That's going to invalidate that lap time from us. So we are just going to go ahead, turn the car back down, dive into the pit lane here pretty soon. No point in continuing the lap. We aren't really going to have that much fuel. And so here we are back out for our final run. 53 seconds left in the session. We've thrown on the medium tires to see if we can get our way up the grid. Now we have dropped to 11th position. So no matter what, if we do not improve, then we will still be able to choose to start on a set of medium tires. And we have saved a set of soft tires for the race. So a little bit of oversteer, trying to get on the throttle early and get a good run into turn 1, but just not quite there. Nice and flat through Abbey, then down into Village. A little bit of a lockup on the back end, loses us a bit of time, so we're going to try and make it up somewhere. Get the car rotated through, out of the loop, and still just a little bit shaky through the first sector here, so not a great run. We've dropped about a 10th at this point, but definitely something we can make up if we have a good run through Brooklands and Luffield here. We got yellow flags ahead of us. It looks like somebody has come off. We're going to try and avoid them as they rejoin. Try not get collected. Kind of compromised our line. We like to dive to the inside of that part of the course there. Have to lift a little bit on the medium tire. And again, just a little bit out onto the Astro. And this time it sends us around. So invalidated the lap time from our from going wide. And then also we're going to go ahead and take some wing damage. And unfortunately, we're not going to be able to get another lap time in. The session has waved the checkered flag at this point, so we're just going to go ahead and get the damaged car to the pits. Unfortunately, not going to be able to make our way further up the grid. We've dropped down to P12 at the moment, and barring any improvements from people behind us, that's going to be where we start, which it is. So 1:28.5 ended up being our best lap. We definitely could have gone quicker. 27.0 was the pole time. In some of my practice sessions, I was getting down into the 27.5 to 27.8 range, so I could have put myself up there on the soft tire, but I just wasn't really able to put the lap together.
Just take it easy, and we should have a good race.
So we're taking a look. We're making our adjustment to the strategy. We're going to be able to start on those medium tires, which in my testing, I had this pretty much the same pace through the first 10 laps or so, the mediums to the softs. Maybe gave up less, about a second over that stint. But we really were gaining almost a full second per lap in the stint on the soft tires compared to finishing up on the medium tires there. So we'll go ahead and fix the fuel loads there. Make sure that strategy is selected. So we are going to have to do some fuel save throughout the race, but there's so many just kind of lifted high-speed corners that we can really save. So here are 5 red lights up, sitting kind of back of the field here. So we aren't going to be too aggressive into turn 1. We're going to just kind of keep an eye on the arrows behind us, leave some space as people are going to kind of send it in, and already cars are off ahead of us. Front right, front left, Onslaught makes contact in front with somebody. We're going to just kind of tiptoe our way through Village. Voki is out wide. One of the Red Bulls is out wide. Voki is slow rejoining. We've got Habs fan Nick on the outside of us. We're going to give him a little bit of a squeeze to make him slot in behind us. But we managed to survive the carnage of turns 1 through 3, and we've moved up to P8 already from P12, so we've gained 4 positions. Voki goes a little bit deep into Brooklands here. We're just going to kind of settle in behind Onslaught here in Luffield. Not really a good opportunity to make any positions at this stage of the race. We're just going to go ahead and keep it safe. Now a little blip of the brakes into Cops there. As the fuel loads lighten, we can carry a little bit more speed. We're just kind of being safe through that section now and into Maggots and Beckett's. We're going to be able to catch up this group in front of us. Obviously the leaders are kind of taking off, but plenty of positions to make. Voki is through the grass and is a little slow, so we're cutting the inside. We're turning up the engine. We're going to go ahead and try and grab some slipstream, see if we can close up the gap enough into Stowe. Now we're going to have to get on the brakes nice and early here. Try and avoid going to the back. He's gone wide on the exit of Stowe. He's going to fight with Onslaught in front of us. We're pretty deep on the brakes here. We dive up the inside. Are we going to be able to hang it out around the outside? We think better of it. We kind of back out of it. Allow him the racing line. It's only lap 1. We're going to try and be a little bit safe to set ourselves up as we get ready to shoot down to Abbey for the first time at full speed. So we swing wide, dive in, and as I start to turn left into the corner, the back end just completely unloads. Really was really surprised to see the car spin that way. It's just like all of a sudden I had no rear downforce and front downforce stayed the same. So big mistake that's sent us into the barrier. We've got wing damage now. Peabody's is coming through. With our damaged wing, he's going to be much quicker than us. So at this point, we're already shaking our head. I'm already mad at myself. Really a mistake I had not even seen in any of my testing coming through. It was a really kind of inexplicable situation there. I've had a look from Havsfan Nick, who was directly behind me through that session, and on his screen it looked like my car just kept turning right. It just, for some reason, the back end just kept making its rotation and never planted on the exit of Abbey there. So we're getting ourselves set up for a new front wing. Hard tires going to be going on. We're just going to try and see how deep into the race we can go. See if we can make up positions. We've got good pace compared to a lot of the rest of the guys on the track, but we're losing so much time thanks to this damaged front wing and also a very slow pit lane here. We're going to lose about another 30 seconds in the pit lane, and it's going to be a real battle for us to try and get anywhere near the points, especially with this field getting much bigger. So just kind of tiptoeing our way through still. The amount of speed we have to take off losing that front downforce is absolutely immense, but our strategy is absolutely boned at this point. Our race is pretty much screwed. So down to the painful 37 miles an hour as we creep down this pit lane. We're going to turn down the fuel mix and ERS, try and recover what we can. We're going to get out and see what we can make happen on these hard tires. See if we can get them fired up to temperature. They'll probably take a couple of laps before they're up to full grip, so we'll have to be kind of careful on them. But there goes the new tires on. The new front wing is getting screwed in there. All right, drop us off the jacks, and away we go. And we'll see just how far behind we are when we hit that first sector split here. But look at that. We already have been in the pit lane for nigh on 40 seconds now. And we are definitely going to have to try and make our way up the field, see what can happen. So pit limiter off, get up the hill, get up the bumpy pit lane, and then get out onto track. There's some yellow flags up in the second sector there, but we are nowhere near being able to take advantage of that at this point.
Okay, entering lap 3 now. DRS has been
Yeah, it'd be great if DRS is enabled if I had anybody I was racing right now, but I'm just completely out of touch. 42 seconds, almost 43 seconds behind Peabody's in front of us. The only benefit is we are going to gain about 30 seconds at the pit lane. I did do some worst case scenario tests at one point though. I did pit after lap 1 to get onto the hard tires, and I was able to run that tire to the end of the race, but it was not fast. It was not quick at all. It was definitely a good half a second to a second per lap slower over the course of the race distance. But with only 26 laps, you're looking at losing 27 seconds or so in pit speed or in a race pace, but you lose over 30 seconds in the pit lane. So still worth kind of trying to one-stop it to the end. And we're just going to have to play it by ear at the end as the fuel loads burn off. If we find ourselves in a position where we're not really gaining on the car in front of us and we've got a cushion to the car behind us, then we can go ahead and maybe go grab some softs to at least be quick. But coming out of the final corner, more snap oversteer. That time I was just a little eager on the throttle with my frustrations, but that's going to light up the rear tires a little bit. That's going to cost us even more time coming out. So my frustrations are definitely kind of setting in at this point. And I've definitely hurt my chances at any kind of result. So we'll see where I'm at the next split. But like I said, it takes a couple of laps to fire the hard tires up to full operating temperature. And I was just a little bit too eager on the throttle. I didn't think I was that eager, but definitely apparently a little bit too eager on the throttle coming out. And just enough of a rear end step out that I wasn't able to catch it, and it put me in the grass. But now we're 57 seconds behind the next car on track, and watching the minimap, every once in a while you get the glimpses. Just crossing the sector 2 split are the leaders, so already in danger of becoming a back mark. Our best lap around the track so far is a 140.8. So at that point, we were 10 seconds off of the best lap time so far this race. We've managed to get the tires cooled down from the spin. Another little bit of snap oversteer coming through Beckett's there, and then out of Chapel here. So just trying to mentally settle in and try and see what we can do. 1 minute and 7 seconds behind Fast 6, who also looks to appear to have made a pit stop to dive in and make a change. And it looks like Chuck still on the soft tires. It looks like he's on his starting tire. But we're just kind of tiptoeing our way through, and really the mental problem that I got coming through turn 1 in Abbey was like, in pretty much every practice and race and everything I did, easily flat, no matter the tire, no matter the fuel load. But now after spinning on lap 2, it's kind of hurt my confidence in the car. Like, I'm having to tiptoe through Abbey until I can really build up to feeling the car back at its limits and the fuel load starts to burn off a little bit more. So really also just a mental blow over the course of the race so far. And now it looks like Fast 6, after his stop and has had an issue, 34 seconds back. So we closed up a gap to him, but we've got to really start making big gains on him over the course of this race. And so here we are jumping ahead to lap 8. Dayman has dropped in behind us, so the leader is closing right up on us. But it looks like he is making the choice to dive into the pit lane just as we were about to get blue flag warnings, just about to be lapped. And he's dived into the pit lane there. So we are 13.8 seconds back of Dayman here, reaching about 17 laps left to go. And we're just actually being able to see him on the mini-map now coming out of the loop here. And just kind of shooting down that back straight to hit the Sector 2 split. So we are starting to make some ground. And through that stint, we did a pretty good job of being able to save our fuel up. You see, we're only short by about a tenth of a lap now, which is about what we want to be. We're able to, especially through a lot of these kind of partial throttle corners, we're able to turn down the fuel consumption and really save fuel. And another thing with this track is it's very energy hungry. So we're jumping ahead to lap 12 here. Still about 23 seconds off the pace now, but Chuck coming out, and that was him coming out of the pit lane. We were able to send it past him. The 23 seconds, of course, was as we crossed the pit line, or start-finish line, and kind of his split there, so we were able to make up that gap. And as I was talking about it just a minute before, and Jeff mentions it now, the battery deployment is a big issue around this track. There's not a lot of braking zones to really recover your electrical energy. There's a few, but they're not hard braking zones. A lot of the time, you're scrubbing speed off on the car through engine braking and just the amount of drag and aero slowdown you get. So even in this medium setting, which is usually pretty balanced around tracks, most tracks you can run in that medium setting and pretty much be even. You're not going to expend more than you're recharging. But through Silverstone here, you're losing, a few, probably about 6 to 8% per lap if you leave it in that medium mode. So you've definitely got to manage your fuel loads throughout the entirety of the race. But as we hit the Sector 2 split there, 11.9 seconds back of Dayman. So we're really not making a lot of ground on him at this point. But we'll just keep pushing ahead, see what we can do. We're lap 12, so we're getting close to the halfway point of this race, which admittedly has not gone well. Not been what I wanted. Silverstone's a track I like, and it was just a real bummer to have that, lap 2 incident, especially after surviving the mess that was, the first part of lap 1, to really just kind of have the car spin under pretty low loads. It must have been a dirty air situation. But here we are, jumping a couple of laps ahead now, lap 14. You see Felix the Feline, yellow flags ahead. It looks like he's gone off and is rejoining as we cross the sector split there. So we're able to get up another position here. We've got Felix and Chuck behind us, and we're just kind of looking to try and make our way up towards Dayman. And we'll see what the gapping is when we hit the start-finish line, catching up to Dayman here. And we've run a fairly consistent pace throughout the rest of it, kind of running in the 32s, 33s. We're 10.6 back, so we are starting to reel him in a little bit. but I believe he's on a bit fresher of a hard tire, and it is a fair bit of a gap. I mean, we've only got, 11 laps left to go to try and make up 10 seconds, and at this point I wasn't catching him by, the over a second a lap that I need. We've got more yellow flags in Sector 2, so it looks like somebody else has gone off through Maggots and Beckett's again. We'll have to see here.
Okay, gap ahead is 10.7
And really the big thing I was trying to do was just trying to set green sectors, just run the tires, because around this track I wasn't burning up the tires so much that I was losing lap time that way. It was really more about the fuel loads. I was actually kind of gaining lap time, but very slow through Sector 1. I think we had to run it in pretty low deployment mode. But we're up to lap 19. At this point, we're just not really gaining on Dayman. We're pretty much holding around a 9 to 10 second gap. And at this point, I've decided I've got a gap to Felix behind me. He's just crossing the sector split, a 20 and a half second gap behind. So at this point, I'm thinking I'm not catching the guy in front. I'm pretty much out. I'm stuck out of the points. So can I at least, in my frustration, convince myself I have some pace? Maybe even prove a spoiler to the guys up ahead of me. Do what I kind of did last week in Austria and kind of steal a fastest lap off of them. Now, obviously, finishing outside of the points, if you're outside of the top 10, if you complete that fastest lap, you do not get the bonus point for fastest lap. Basically, nobody does. So I was trying to at least, get that on board, but we're about 8.9 seconds, I think it was, behind Dayman. 9.3 after a pretty slow final sector. You can see the race leader catching me up, so it's about to kind of become a back marker, and we're just going to go ahead and run a full lap here, recharging everything to set ourselves up for a push lap. So we'll recharge and save fuel the whole way through this lap, and then our whole out lap on those soft tires, and then we'll crank everything up to the max, and we're going to tell Jeff that we're going to box this lap.
Okay,
we're going to come in, grab these soft tires, get those fitted so we can have a good quick run at least to the end of the race here. Now, our gap isn't quite big enough that we're going to completely cover off Felix. We are going to come out just behind him at this point. And just double checking to make sure that the soft tires were going on. You saw the, for a glimpse there, the expected position after the pit was going to be 16th. So our 23.1 second gap, we are going to lose out to him by a few seconds there. So we are going to have to make up that gap, but we've got good pace. We are going to be turning the car way up to 11, and we are going to be on a very fast tire on a very light fuel load. So we should definitely be able to make up some good ground. Still, 10 seconds to Dayman in front, so really not worth trying to push for, 5 laps on an old hard tire. Not really going to close up that gap. So let's go ahead, let's dive into the pit lanes, put our pit crew to work again, be safe to not pick up a 5-second penalty coming in here, and slap these soft tires on. Just a, sanity check again, making sure that's on there. And we've got a good amount of fuel on board, and we've got plenty of ERS charging up by the time we finish this next lap. Leader goes by, and we are officially now a lap down, unfortunately. We probably could have finished the race, maybe staying on the lead lap if we had stayed out, but at this point, I was just looking to reclaim a little bit of pride, prove to myself that I have decent pace around this track. I mean, running in 32s, 33s on the hard tire was not bad, but if you saw Felix go by us, he's on the medium tires that are a bit worn at this point. He's been out for a while, and plenty of a gap to Chuck, who's still 30 seconds back, having a bit of a rough go of it. It's his first race in the league. He just joined up. You can see kind of a train of cars catching up the lead pack coming through. Well, not the lead pack, but basically the podium pack there. So coming out of the pits here, first time through, still charging and saving fuel. 7 seconds back of Felix here, so we are, taking good chunks out. And after our pit, Chuck is now about 8 seconds back of us, so he gained a lot of time through the pit lane there, but still, we had plenty of a gap to cover him off. And there's us not used to the extra grip that the soft tires have, turning in nice and hard into cops and cutting the corner. So picking up another warning there. But here we are.
We have 5 laps of fuel remaining.
about 6 seconds back of Felix at this point. Now you can see up to the rich mix in the fuel mode, up to overtake mode in the ERS deployment. And it's time to see what we can do and bang in a good lap. So get late on the brakes into club here and through the Vale chicane and out into club the last corner. So on the throttle, nice and early. Shoot across the start-finish line here. 5.2 seconds to Felix. So diving into Abbey into turn 1. Carry the speed through turn 2. Get late on the brakes through Village. Cut into the corner there. Use that extra grip. Little bit of a burst on the throttle through the left-hander and then out on the power hard and early through loop. Use that extra grip that the soft tires give us as we shoot down the straight to see what we can do. We are already 0.8 up on our previous personal best and almost under 4 seconds back of Felix now. So we gained a huge chunk through that first sector. And coming out of Brooklyn's left field and now getting ready for Cops. A little bit of a lift. We don't want to go wide, which we almost do. We kind of had a little bit of understeer entering the corner. And now we can see Felix ahead of us, diving Maggots, Beckett's, just little blips of downshift, then into Chapel, carry the speed, run it all the way out to that outside curb. And now 2.1 seconds up on our previous best lap here. 1.1 seconds back of Felix. It looks like we are going to catch him. Little early on the brakes through Stowe. Not our best run through there. Good and on the power. And now to try and keep this best lap going, we're going to go around the outside of Felix. Late on the brakes. Use that extra grip. A nice clean move to get by him. Early and hard on the power. And we cross the start-finish line. Snag the fastest lap at the moment. 1:30.119.
Distance between yourself and the car behind.
So now we've got plenty of fuel saved up at this point. We definitely oversaved. I think we could have probably saved a little less to lighten the car a little bit more. And if we had let Felix have a little bit more of a gap to where we caught him after the start-finish line, we probably could have improved by a little bit more. But again, that was
Our gap to the car in front is
by absolute definition a glory run, to just try and run a lap to prove to myself that I had the speed to run with these guys. And you know, I was able to run in the 130s on the soft tires in my practice races after doing a full stint on the mediums. I was able to get down into the 131s and the 130s on worn softs without turning the engine up. So cranking that up was a pretty good feeling. But here we are jumping ahead, lap 25, the final lap of the race for us, our last time through Maggots and Beckett's. As you can see, we still got that purple highlight on our name,
There's only one lap of fuel
saying that we've still got the fastest lap. Boom Tech crosses the start-finish line as the race winner, and that means we are going to go ahead and finish a lap down as we hit the brakes into the Vale chicane for the last time, head through club and get across the start-finish line. And there's just going to be a few more cars rushing across the start-finish line, finishing up their race. But a P15 for us, unfortunately. Big mistake, really harmed us. It's like Povey's across the line in third, Nemesis second. A couple other cars are getting their checkered flags across. Fast 6 in there. Habs fan, who was right behind us during our mistake, in the points in top 10. Peabods, who was another new addition to this league. His first race comes through in the points. Denelson, though, at the moment, P11, who had put it on pole. Let's see as he gets ready to cross the line. I am sure he snags the fastest lap from us. He goes a 1:30.004, so he snags it by just over a tenth. Now Onslaught, Dayman are going to be the last two to cross the start-finish line as everybody else is on the cool-down laps. Onslaught through in 13th, and Dayman, the man we were chasing, in 14th. He's clicking through to see him as he swings out across the line. But not the best result for us on this particular weekend. You know, good consistency in the later stages, but that early mistake definitely harmed us. But you see up on the podium, Williams up there, MJ Povey, we got Boom Tech up top, and Nemesis coming in second place in that Ferrari. So that's going to help Boom Tech increase their lead on the championship there as they get the generic champagne ceremony that you see every single time. Good news from 2020 coming. They are adding in kind of settable emotes for podium celebrations, so we should be able to see some differences coming through. But look at the number of penalties all over the grid from those corner cuts. So that actually promotes Denelson up into 10th, as Peabody took 3 penalties to drop him down. So that's going to allow Denelson to not only pick up that 10th place point, but also make use of that fastest lap point as he crossed the line in P11, but coming through and being moved up into P10 allows him to take that. It looks like Povey and Halfstand were basically the only clean guys. We had a couple of mistakes that got us the 3-second corner cut penalty. But we were fairly consistent across the rest of the race. It was really just that start that really screwed us, really boned us. And I was very upset kind of rewatching through and seeing just how the car unloaded. It was a helpless feeling. It wasn't even a slide that manifested until it was too late to catch. But next up, we are headed to the night race of Bahrain out in the desert. So another pretty high-speed track, but fairly technical. Some lower speed corners going through there, but we'll see if we can improve and hopefully have a more consistent run, not make an early mistake, and allow us to fight up the field. But I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.